Hi, my name is Candice, and what I'm going to do today is I'm going to show you a quick and easy Dinair basic makeup. This is something that I do on myself. I'm just going to start by, most of my hair is already pulled back, but so if you have bangs or anything like that, just go ahead and feel free to get those out of the way. Now what I'm going to apply is I'm going to be using Perfect Skin, and that's this product right here. And what this does is I'm going to use the back of my hand as like a little palette like this. What this is for, I have like dried and normal skin type. I'm gonna put it in the areas that are a little bit drier. You can also use this is great for mature or aged skin. Or even if you have just like a combination skin and just put it in the areas where it's a little bit drier. And then after I'm done with that, the foundation that I'm gonna be using today is going to be Honey Beige. And I'm also going to use that in darker areas under my eyes to conceal, and then also as well any blemishes that I have. So I have some right here right now. And I'll start off with that and I'll show you how to cover that up. So right now I'm going to shake the bottle, just listen for so you can hear that noise in there. And that's just to make sure all the makeup is fully mixed around in there so you get the true pigment that you need. Now I'm just going to put a few drops, and you don't need a lot. A little goes a long way. Now when you're matching up your foundation color, what I like to tell people is kind of base it off of the eye. Just go ahead and look at it. And if you don't feel comfortable with that, if you're not a person that wears a lot of makeup from day-to-day basis, what you want to do is maybe consult with somebody that works at Dinair, and they'll be happy to help you. So make sure that the dial is turned at 12 o'clock. And then go ahead, and the on button is in the back of your system. So what I'm gonna go ahead and do is I'm gonna grab a Kleenex and then just fold it over so you can use the other side if you want. Just save some on Kleenex. And then just go ahead and pull back, not all the way, but just a little bit, just so you start to see the makeup come out. Just something like that. And once you do that, then you wanna stay about at least 6 inches away from your face, and you wanna go in circular type motions. Now what you can do is I'm gonna go ahead and cover up my blemishes and under eye circles first. That's what I like to do, but you can do it backwards if you want. You can start with a full face of foundation, and then you can go back on those areas. Or if you feel like you need a little bit more coverage, you can go over those first, do the full foundation, and then go back over those areas. So I'm gonna go over those areas first. Right here with the blemishes, I wanna get a little bit closer than what I would do when I'm spraying all over. So I'm gonna go a little bit closer, about this distance. Then I'm gonna go ahead and rock back on the lever in those areas. Now you don't wanna put too much, and you don't wanna pull all the way back, because then you'll get overspray, and then that tends to get wet, and then you'll get what's called hot spots. Now wherever you feel the air on your face, that's where the makeup will be applied. If you're not used to the air on your eye or near your eye, you can go ahead and close it if you need to. But once you get more experience and you start working with it more, then you'll be able to open your eye and then just be able to make those light passes underneath it. So now when you're doing this, you want to use like those loop-de-loop motions. And make sure you bring it all the way down onto the décolleté in this area. And what I really love about this makeup is this is simpler to use than if you were to use traditional makeup. Make sure you get the ear area. Make sure that you keep moving when you do this too, so that you don't create too much color in one area. Okay, what I'm gonna use now is I'm gonna use a little bit of Nutmeg. And what I like to do with this is I just use a few drops with the Honey Beige, which is my foundation color. I just use a few drops of this mixed with that, just to give a little bit more of a bronzy look. You don't have to do this. This is just what you would prefer. I like a little bit more of a tanner look. So I added a few drops in there, and because there's Honey Beige in there, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna cover the tip of this and then pull back a little bit till it gets that marbleized bubbling effect. And if it's still a little bit bubbly like that and it goes over the top, just feel free to pat it down with Kleenex. And what that does is it mixes up the product a little bit better so that you don't have one concentrated color all over the face. Okay, so I'm just bronzing myself now, getting like an all over like honey-kissed look. still in the same motion because this is just an all over. Now if I want to go into contour a little bit more, I like to contour underneath here. It gives you a slimmer look, and right here. It's right below the cheekline. So the closer that you get to these areas, the more concentrated the color is going to be. So just remember that when you're doing this. Now you probably don't notice, but my nose is a little bit crooked, and with contouring, highlighting, or shading, you can straighten out certain areas like that, or have, if your nose is a little bit wider and you don't like it, you can use it to slim it out as well. I'm just gonna shade on this side of my nose to kind of give it that more straight look. That's just me. And then I'm gonna go over the temple areas right here, and then just right around my forehead right here. When I'm spraying, I'm at 3 to 4 inches. And what I'm using now for my blush is I'm going to use Bronze Rose. I'm just gonna shake it up again and listen for that noise. And with blush, you don't need very much, just like with anything else. Just a few drops. What I like about the Dinair blush is that compared to traditional makeup, because it's airbrushed, it comes on a lot simpler, and throughout the day, because of the water-based makeup, it doesn't sit in concentrated areas. When I used traditional makeup before I started using my system, I would find that it would get patchy throughout the day, because when it mixes with the natural oils in my skin, it would just start to pick up in certain areas. So what I love about this makeup is it doesn't do that throughout the day. When I'm doing the blush, I want to be at least 4 inches away from my face. And the easiest way to remember how to do this is to actually just smile at yourself in the mirror. Now, if you have overpronounced cheeks and you don't like that, you can always just go from where the apple of your cheek is back. But I do like that, so I'm going to go from the apple and then just bring it back. Okay, what I'm gonna do now is I'm going to go over my eyelid area in a lighter color for the base, and I'm going to be using Barely Pink. Now I'm just gonna go ahead and close my eyelid, leave one eye open so I can see what I'm doing. Once you get a little bit more practice, you can close both your eyelids, or especially if you're doing a base, you don't necessarily need to see where it's going. Just because it's a base, it's gonna go all over your eyelid. And what I'm gonna go over now is that I used a lighter base for my eyeshadow. Now I'm gonna go over with a little bit darker base in the crease. I'm using light bronze. That's the color that I'm going to use next. And both of these are pretty forgiving, so if you're just starting out, you can go ahead and start with maybe some lighter colors or bronzy colors. I'm just gonna do this from here to here, just in the crease, and this is just what I like to do. And again, remember, you wanna be at least 2 inches away from the eye. Sometimes if you feel really uncomfortable and you're just starting out, just use the airbrush itself so that you just feel the air around your eye area or on the eye area until you get used to that. And then once you start doing it, I would suggest using some of the light bronzy colors because they're very forgiving. And then also with that, you can use the shields that they have. What you wanna do is you wanna just go ahead and cover it up right here until this area. And just go ahead and you can go over those same areas. And with this shield is also very forgiving just because the overspray will go onto the shield and not anywhere onto the face. And that just kind of gives me my everyday look. Now that I'm finished with my everyday look, I'm going to finish with the last product, which is Moist and Dewy by Dinair. And this is very good for mature skin types or dry to normal. So this is my everyday look, and it lasts me all day, and I'm sure it will for you too, and without creasing. So practice makes perfect. Don't feel discouraged in any way, shape, or form. And if so, just feel free to call Dinair. Their customer service is phenomenal, so they will help you out. And just keep practicing. And I hope you love your kit just as much as I do.